Hello, and thank you for joining us at this special roundtable. Today we have two women who have decided to live differently than most. And we have Paulette Francis and Leah Joy joining us today. And we're going to start with Paulette first, and we're going to have her introduce herself to the audience.
Yes, hi, I'm Paulette Francis, and I am a stylist in New Haven, Connecticut, and the name of my salon is Authentic Beauty Salon and Spa. I have been working and own the spa for 24 years, and I do natural hair. We also have a spa that is a med spa that take care of people who will go through different types of surgery.
Cool. Leah Joy.
Hey, so my name is Leah Joy, aka Maya Rose spoken word. I am a poet. Yay. Not necessarily an entrepreneur. I don't think I have that entrepreneur spirit, but definitely a free spirit in the sense of not living a conventional life, 9-to-5 job, basically picking up jobs that support my art. And that's, kind of my passion.
But I feel that that's entrepreneurship too, though, because you're basically doing something on your own. Even if you have to supplement it by doing something else at the moment, that's still different. It's still not, going in and just saying this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, retire, get my SSI, and move on. It's art.
Yeah.
And that's true with you too, Paulette.
Yeah.
What you do, what you guys both do, and I think it's really cool, it's art. It's an art form, and I consider you both artists. Paulette, when did you realize that the 9-to-5 wasn't for you? When did you get that passion to say, I'm going to go out here and do something on my own and not depend on a salary and stuff like that?
I feel that I've always had that entrepreneurship in my psyche because as a little girl, I loved to make people feel good. And by that, I would do their hair or do makeup or their eyebrows or whatever that was. And I want to say I started that when I was about 10 years old, where I would take my classmates home and give them a makeover. So I think as time go on, because of your parents and the outside world who are used to a 9-to-5 will convince you that that's just not the way to go to be able to make something of your own. And that's what I grew up in. And I think as time went on and I realized that I wanted to do something that I was passionate about, and that's what I was always passionate about.
Okay.
And I took the leap in working for someone in that field, and for little bit or no money. And I really loved it. And I decided that I was going to give this person 2 years, and from that, I was going to open my own business. And I did that, and everything that I feel I wanted to do, and especially in a time frame, I did that because I only can be accountable for myself. I can't be accountable for anyone else. So I always keep my word to myself, and I've done that consistently throughout my life. So I decided to open a salon, and then 2 years after that, I moved my salon and bought my building that my salon is in. So I am living out my complete dream because I wanted to do this from a little girl. I wanted to own my own building. I wanted to have my own salon. I wanted to have a spa. I wanted to have a workout routine for people. So really, my passion is making people feel good.
Great. That's good.
Yeah.
Leah, when did you get hit with the bug?
Oh my goodness. So I was born with it.
You were born with the bug?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Like I, first started out doing acting, and My earliest memory is like, God, 7 years old. I remember, 7 years old, I went on my very first audition.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and it was definitely like me directed. Me and my sister went. Of course, I come from a very, artist family, but it was definitely like I had this audition on the radar. I wanted to go to it. It was my thing. And I even have an earliest memory. I remember for Christmas one year, my dad gave us all these little tape recorders, those little handheld tape recorders. And so I had my own show called Bye Bye Banana that I just played with myself. And it was like an interview show.
Okay.
And we went one Christmas to visit my grandparents, as we did right after Christmas every year. And I'm running around the house like, bye bye banana, talking to my imaginary guest. And then my grandfather said to me, he's like, oh, you're going to be a famous actress. And I was like, yeah, like everything in me like just lit up.
Right.
And so, so I knew very on. I did my first play at 12 years old. That audition that I did at 7 years old, I didn't get it, but that I think had more to do with racial stuff.
Yeah.
Growing up in an all-white town, being a mixed person, it was not. We didn't have traditional casting like we do today.
Right.
So I really had to fight a lot to kind of get parts as a young person. And so for me, there was no other way. Like I went to New York, went to LA, did the whole, this is going to be my career. And where the rubber really met the road for me was when I left acting, moved back to Connecticut, fell into a lot of financial debt, and was considering the 9-to-5. So I applied to graduate schools, looking for okay, I got to put my plan B into place, and fought hard to try to put myself in that box of that conventional, get a master's degree, and maybe teaching I was thinking of, and I was thinking of psychology and drama therapy and all these things that brushed up against my passion but wasn't fulfilling. And I was so miserable just with the application process. I'm like, if I'm dragging myself to the application process, what is it going to be like once I drop $60,000 on school and then have schoolwork and have to work? I'm like, forget it. Like this, it's just not me. I don't care if I'm making a ton of money as an artist. I just know this has to be the core of who I am because this is what I'm here for.
Right.
And I always pray to be able to support myself financially with it. But I had to let all that go. I had to stop that pounding the pavement stuff and just realize it's important because it's important to me.
Right.
Not whether other people see it as successful or think that I'm making the right decision. I just can't get out of bed.
Right.
If I don't have this as the main focus of my life.
Right. You see, that leads me to this question, because you said it too. Money, the money aspect of it. Do you all think that a lot of people don't branch out and do what they are inherently natural to do because of finances? That the person is thinking, well, if I do this, how am I going to make money? And they're not looking at the long picture, down the road, as far as being satisfied and happy with your life. Do you think that's a problem?
I do think that is a problem. I think money becomes a big part of it because you're thinking, how am I going to survive if I don't have money, and how am I going to be able to get to the next ordeal in my life if I don't have money? So I get that part of it. But what I do know for sure, is that you have to have faith. And faith over fear is the dynamic of your money expectation. And I think that's where I put all my energy in faith and just really standing firmly on my beliefs of who I am and what I can do and how I'm going to make it different or make it excel in the way I need it to, so that people can see, because I need people to invest to make the kind of money that I need to make to survive on this planet, right? Because that's the way it works.
Yep.
But I love, and what I feel is that I love what I do. And people feel that energy that I give off on what I do. So, And once you can, and I think with anything that you do, if you show it outwardly, don't keep it in. Smile, laugh, hug,
Right.
because you love that someone is coming in and supporting you on what you believe in. So if you're not giving, you're not going to get that back.
Right.
So all you're looking for is to receive, but you're not giving. So I feel that the way I really put myself out there is what I receive back.
Right.
And I
that's,
can make money from it.
And that's important too, because if you do a sit down in the poetry and you're on the stage and whatnot, how do you want your audience to not only feel about what you're saying, but feel about you? Because that's coming from, again, that's coming from who you are as a person, your soul almost. When you write and you say these words, you write these words down. That's coming from the very core of who you are. How do you want your audience to feel when they leave after hearing you talk?
Yeah. I'd like my audience to feel, I'd like them to feel like they learned a little something new that they can apply to themselves. I like them to feel that they learned a little bit something new about me, because I'm a type of person where, like, what you see necessarily isn't what you get, in the sense of, like, and who knows, like, I'm sort of changing and coming more into my own now, so I feel like I'm a bit more aligned or integrated. But growing up, I was always seen as, like, this kind of, not necessarily shy, definitely had a lot of energy and was outgoing, but this sort of nice, proper, follow the rules type of girl. But I always, and I think as an artist, especially as a theater person, I always sort of had this kind of edgy, kind of push the buttons a little bit. And I've always been very interested in social issues, historical issues, and how do we weave that into our modern conversation from a perspective of, like, oh, whoa, that's messed up. Let's change that. And I don't know if it necessarily translated very well outside of maybe, like, my closest friends. So I'm very aware of, like, okay, when I deliver this poem, I want them to kind of see the more in your face side of me. And I want them to sort of get to know a deeper level of, why am I bringing this to your attention? I want you to think about this stuff deeper when you go home for yourself. But again, also so you don't sort of, like, put me into a box of, like, oh no, you have to be this person who I've always been. And again, as I'm getting older and I'm in with a totally different group of people than the people you sort of grow up with, it's not as much of an issue, but I still feel like I want them both. I want you to take away something for yourself, but I do want to expose a little bit more of, like, what makes me sit and contemplate and think, and what revs me up, and what issues that I feel are important. So
But isn't that, doing what you do, isn't that what you want people to know is who you are?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, as opposed to being an actress, right, you play a role.
Yeah.
Right? And if you're good at that role, of course, you get accolades and awards and stuff. When you're writing, again, it comes from really who you are as a person. And I think there's a difference, excuse me, there's a difference between the two. When someone leaves out of your shop, well, let's put it this way. When someone comes into your shop,
Yes.
how do you want them to leave?
I want them to be happy. I want them to be fulfilled in what they see, because what we have to realize is that what we see on the outside can truly trigger what is going on in the inside. So if you feel good on the outside, you're going to feel good on the inside. And so that's my everyday goal, to make sure that that person, when she's leaving or he's leaving, that he feels and she feels good when she's walking out that door. And what I know is that how I know they feel good is when they come to the desk to pay, right? It's no hesitation on what price I give them or what the fee is. All right, is no hesitation, and then they are willing to whatever I use, because I do sell products as well. They want to know what that is all about. And what the great thing is about what I'm doing now, after COVID, I started working by myself because the person who was working with me, who's working with me for 19 years, passed away because of COVID. And so I decided I'm not going to hire anyone else. And everybody, and this is why I know I stand alone in certain things, but everybody was like, you can't do that. You have to hire somebody. And so I'm going on 3 years now working by myself and doing more than I have done in the years that passed, because now I can give them, each and every person, an individual perspective on what I'm doing. We can talk more. I can explain what's done, how they can take care of their hair when they're home, all of that, where I couldn't do that before. Right. So I really base my schedule so that at least I have 2 hours, 2.5 hours with each client that I'm working on.
Wow.
And I can do at least 5 to 6 clients a day, 5 days a week. So yes, it is a lot, but it's rewarding at the end of it.
That is great. And I would be remiss in saying and asking this question to the both of y'all, since you guys are both women of color, right? How do you inspire or continue to inspire, move forward when you have somebody that's years younger than you, young women of color? How do you tell them how to maybe get to the point where you guys are headed or are already there? How do you tell a young woman of color to keep going, to not be discouraged and feel, you know? The question I'm gonna ask you next is really something that's really on my mind. How do you tell somebody?
I'm gonna tie it into a little bit what you just said, because it's making me really think about how important it is to feel good on the outside. So yesterday I went and spent some time with my niece, who just turned 24, and I took her out we went and got pedicure, went out to eat, and so one of the things it was a big thing for me. Like, I don't tend to go and get manicures and pedicures. I sort of grew up with a mom who felt like taking care of yourself and your beauty is not important. You know, you can't afford it, and it means that you're trying to be superficial. So it was sort of drilled in my head, even though when I was little, like, I loved doing my makeup, I loved doing my hair, I loved being pretty. And so, I went through a period of time, especially during extreme struggle, which I went through, where it was like that was the last thing on my mind. And now that I've gotten more to a stable place, I'm like, the one thing I've been really purposely, intentionally trying to do is take more care with my hair, get the manicure, pedicure. And you're right, it was a lot of money, but I was like, but this experience of feeling good wasn't only so important for me in rebuilding my self-esteem, because I went through a demolition, destruction of self-esteem. I'm like, wow, it is so much more important than I ever thought it could be. And the fact that I'm now teaching my niece to invest in that. And we get to do that together. So we have this experience together. We both get to put emphasis on our beauty, which is a good thing, which we're taught is not. And as women of color, it's like we get to allow ourselves to be seen as pulled together and glamorous and beautiful, which I know me growing up was not the case. And what I shared with her, which was my little wisdom, which I don't even know if I fully take it on, but once I say it, I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna preach it, I have to practice it.
You have to manifest it.
I told her, I'm like, I really want you to go through and look at like the pictures of you when you were a teenager and a young adult, still a young adult, and look at the beauty of you. Because now I'm going back into all of those old pictures and looking at those times where I thought I was so fat and ugly. And I'm like, oh my God, I was so beautiful. I was so fit. And I'm like, can I do that do that for myself now so that in 10, 15, 20 years, I don't have to regret, because I do wake up some days feeling, oh, so gross, oh, I lost my youth. But it's like, no, if I start now and telling myself that now, I won't have those regrets in 20 years. And I hope I can shave some time off her life, not off her life, off
don't
her
save any time
sad,
off her life.
looking at herself, that poor self-concept part of life that most women and most women of color experience. So I want to thank you, because you just inspired me in what you said.
And that's what I'm coming back to you with. Our women are scrutinized. That's something I read on what's the name. They're calling Michelle Obama a man because they're stupid, first and foremost, right? But second, that's not the only thing, though. I feel that women of color are under so much scrutiny because the epitome of beauty somehow doesn't relate to us and our women and stuff like that. I think that you have always done a good job making someone coming to that shop that may have doubts about themselves, and when they leave, they feel great. And what that does too is let them say, I'm coming back because this person has inspired me. You inspired by words, you inspired by doing what you do. And I am so proud of y'all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I know women as well as men of color, we all go through a period of our lives that we feel like we're not good enough. We don't look good enough. We don't feel good enough. We are, that we are being looked at in a certain way. But what I really, and this is from my own, coming from my heart, from my soul, from my gut, is that I'm a person that take care of myself. And I take care of myself because I want people to know that you can take care of yourself. And that when you see me, you can see that. You don't have to ask me any questions. You could see that I take care of myself, that I'm well put together all the time, because you have that power. If you have nothing else, the power that you do have is to take care of yourself. And I teach that to my kids. I teach them and I talk to them about that every day. And I am their example. I don't want them to have somebody as the person they look up to. I want them to look up to me as their mother, as a person, and their father as a person, and a person that is taking care of himself and want to be their person, right? Because if you don't have that, what do you have?
Right.
I hear you saying about your parents, and that they kind of put that fear or that that person that can't move forward doubt in their minds of that you are a beautiful woman. They should have been saying that to you. They should have made that be first and foremost, that you're smart, that you're beautiful, that color has nothing to do with it, that we are, and if we as the people can give that to each and every one of us, we don't need the outside to tell us that. We only need us, and we need to see that in us, because we are beautiful, gorgeous, loving people, because we have endured so much, right? That where else do we go from here? We should only be able to give good and love one another. And I'm talking about all of us, whether we are related or not. You know? And that's 100%. What I try to do every day. Sitting at a...
And my parents, they gave words of you're beautiful, and so it wasn't that they didn't want to instill the beauty, but it was but don't invest in the stuff. That's for rich people. That's for superficial white girls. So there was, and definitely, they grew up in poverty. They had 4 kids, and had to make sure there was food on the table. So these creature comforts were luxury. And so I think there was a little bit of a fear that we would sort of get our sights on this stuff and then ask them for the money to do it. And it was, no, you can't afford it. Or that, if you're a natural girl, then you don't need makeup, or you don't need your nails done, or you don't need your hair to look good. So it was like, and then as I became an adult, it was like almost like that wasn't part of my self-care. That was like some vacation luxury thing I can splurge on.
Right.
And now I'm realizing, like, no, part of the self-care and part of self-esteem is getting my hair done, getting my nails done, having the makeup, having things that when I look in the mirror, that it's not that I'm masking it and like I need that to feel beautiful, but it enhances the beauty, and I think there's a lot of merit in that.
It is.
Well,
it is.
And we're going to end it in a second, and my thing is this, right? As a parent or as an aunt, you basically have to reinforce very early on in a child, right, that they are the best that they can possibly be. Always try to be the best, but have them also realize they're better than no one else, because it gives them a sense of balance, right? And you always have to encourage, and we have to encourage constantly, not only our kids, but the people that we love, our family. Encourage people to do something that a lot of people would think was not the norm, right? Don't tell them, you got to go to college. You have to do 4 years of college and then for the rest of your life pay off for tuition, right? You have to be able to tell them what's in your heart, please do it. What I'm going to do, we're going to come to one of your shows. We're coming to the salon, right? Because I want people to see where you guys live. You know what I mean? And I say where you live at. And the only reason I say where you live is because what you do is coming from within, right? We can live in a house, but there's an old saying, right? No matter where you go, there you are, right? You can't escape it, and that's why I said live. But
and poetry does feel like a home to me. I mean, I've been homeless, and so when I was homeless, poetry was my home. It was the thing that I kept coming back to because, my book is Poems from My Broken Heart. Poems from My Broken Heart.
Good
so
deal.
I would, I have my little poem.
Hold it up. Yes, indeed. That's it.
So it's like, when I originally wrote this stuff, it kind of channeled through me. And yes, it was like expressing myself and helping other people, but then rereading it, it's so much encoded in it that I think like for my journey, and I think that, that the universe, God kind of works in that way. They will give you all the tools you'll need before you know how to apply them. So it's like I got all these tools, didn't know it was going to apply to my soul in such a deep way to help bring me through those really hard times when life was beating me down. And I couldn't forge any sort of measurable success or measurable, tangible like things in my world. But I'm like, but I have this poetry, which is almost like a second person. It's like a breath. Companion, a lifetime companion. So it makes sense that it's like when I come home to myself, I come home to my poetry, mostly.
Haven't you found if you're having a bad day, right, in your home, even if before you get ready to go to work and there's some craziness maybe going on and whatever, your mind or whatever, do you find solace of saying, I'm going to the shop now, and I can kind of, can you kind of get your head together once you get there? All of a sudden you're on a roll and you can't remember why you were so shaky leaving the house, or why things were kind of chaotic leaving the house, and you almost find peace.
I think I definitely, if my day is, the morning is starting out a little rough, yes, I do find peace when I go to my salon because I built it that way. I built the peace in my salon, so when anyone and everyone that walk through that door, they automatically feel it. And I feel that peace is at home because one of the things I do every day before leaving my home is say a prayer, and pray for the people that come through that door, feel it as well. You know, feel the presence of that higher person to give them the peace that they need to relax. And what I realize is that when people come in and they are relaxed, I am relaxed. I'm at peace. And I feel it because as they sit at the sink, it's almost like they take this deep breath. And I could honestly say that every client that comes in and sit at the bowl to get their hair washed, first and foremost, is that they just take this deep breath and relax.
Yeah.
And it's the best feeling ever because I feel that I am helping that process.
Yes.
And it's so primal too, if you think about it. Like, letting, you know, like when you're little and your mom has to wash your hair, your dad or whoever, caregiver, grandma, but like just surrendering to that chair and that bowl and letting somebody literally put their hands on your scalp, on your head, your power center.
Yes.
Like it is it's a communion.
It is. It is.
Do you guys realize you take people on journeys? Huh?
Yes.
You realize you're taking
both
someone
do,
on
right?
on a journey.
Different ways. Isn't
Right.
that
In different
cool?
ways. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you release with the spoken word, with the touching of the scalp, with the washing of the hair, right? You release the pressure from people, for people,
Yeah.
you know, where somebody can forget whatever they're going through the work that you all do.
Yeah.
And what?
And I think it's important where I don't have a TV going. I do have music, but it's more on a calmer jazz salon type music. And it's really, and I have water running, so it kind of gives them a flow of how everything is gonna end up, where you're going to flow through this.
Right.
And I think this is our life. I think that we all need to be on a flow of life, not just always, you know, it's always, everything is worrisome. And, how are people gonna feel? I don't, back in the day, yes. This part of my life, no. I don't worry about what people are feeling or going through or whatever, because I'm going to put them in the mindset that I'm at this point. And that's what we all need to know. Understand that negativity, there is negativity and there is positivity, and they are equal. So if your mind is negative, that's where it's going to go all through the day. If your mind is positive, that's where it's going to go all through the day. So you, as an individual, make that decision for
You are
yourself.
control.
Yeah, we definitely have to collaborate, do some poetry at the salon, flow
let me tell you
words
something.
while they're flowing
The
the locks.
collaboration is a natural. It's natural.
Yes.
Because I'm telling you, and I've seen it happen when I have gone to people doing poetry, or I have been at the shop. I've seen people come. I'll tell you what. I've seen people come into that shop, weary, you know, downtrodden, you know, especially the ones that were coming late, right after work,
Right.
right, and I'd see them leave.
Transformation.
Energy.
Yeah.
They didn't leave going, okay, I'm gone, right? They were like, okay, hey, have a good one. You know, we'll see you then. Put me on a schedule for whatever, right? They had a renewed sense of calm. You know, I'm good. You know, I'm good. I've seen people at concerts, and because I'm jazz nut too, right? I've seen people at concert leave a jazz concert, right, and feel like they didn't want to go home.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep this in my head. That music is in my head, because I'm like that too. I hear certain music, right? I am done. You know, I'm not thinking of nothing. I'm not thinking of, you know, damn, I got to go to work tomorrow or whatever.
Right.
I'm just in a zone. And the thing is, we need to make sure, I think we as grown-ups now, right, we need to pass that on, and I can't emphasize, we need to pass that on to younger people. Because people seem today, in this environment that we live in today, this political craziness, right, living today, no one seems to be thinking in these realms, you know. Nobody's thinking about what can I do to help somebody else, you know. People are thinking, I mean, can I get a 5-bedroom house? You know, I want that new car, I want that new Lincoln and whatnot. And the thing that I always tell people, right, if you look at wealth, right, as things, right, as trinkets, as stuff that you can look at and touch, but can't touch you back, right? You're living a fool's life.
Yeah.
Because Denzel Washington said something that had me cracking up, because they were talking about money and stuff and him acting, right? And he said, you're talking about, oh, you got this, you got that. He said, let me tell you something. I ain't never seen a Brinks truck behind a funeral procession. And that makes so much sense. You see how little stuff can make people understand,
Right.
you know,
The bigger
what life
concept,
is.
Yeah. And I want to add to that, and I think it's not just young people. I think it's all ages. I mean, I find, at least when I do poetry and I'm speaking to people, I come off stage and people come up to me, I really think that sort of like diseased mentality hits all ages.
Yeah.
You know, I think that we tend to want to like say it's all the young people and make
That's
ourselves
fun doing that.
separate from it.
Right.
But it's like someone laid this foundation
Yes.
that these young people are now trying to live up to.
Yeah.
And that goes to an older generation. But it's like we all kind of have to come together in like-mindedness of all intergenerational, because there's going to be older people, middle-aged people, and young people who are going to be caught in the matrix. And then there's going to be young people and middle-aged people and older people who are out of it or breaking free. So I think we need to all band together intergenerationally to wake up those who are still caught in that matrix. And it's hard. I think we underestimate how strong and powerful that fishhook, I call it,
Of course.
is. You know, and so the more we can sort of like help inspire and lift each other up, no matter what age we are, then we reinforce it for ourselves, that reinforces it for the other. Because we're all subject to it at any moment.
Yep.
Because we're bombarded constantly.
Do you all think that our biggest commodity is time? Right? And I say this for a reason. I think our biggest commodity is time for a reason, because I've seen too many people in my life pass away early, right? And they didn't get the chance, in my view, to do what I may just be thinking is for them, what they wanted to do, you know. So I live my life every day, every second, every microsecond, trying to figure out how I can make myself happy, what makes me happy, and whatnot. And I know, because of what you guys do, it's not only yourselves, you're trying to make other people happy too. So my question is, for you guys, how do you make every moment count every day?
I make every moment count by loving, appreciating, and standing firmly on my God, and taking care of me, because if I don't do that, I can't do it for anyone else.
That's right.
And that's where I am in my life. And being happy is important to me. And giving that to others is even more so important to me. So I want to be able to say that where I am in my life today, trials and tribulations, whatever comes, I always feel like, and I always look forward to the other side of that, which is to be happy.
That's it.
That's it.
Leah Joy?
So, well, for me, I would say the way I make every moment count is by just relentlessly looking at my mind field. Because I spent a lot of time in productivity and thinking that's what makes every moment count. And it does to a certain extent, but it's like the negative rumination in my mind was so much such is that I realized I'm like, I can end up getting all my dreams come true and have everything work out for me, but I'll be miserable on the inside. And I met so many people who had all the goodies and were miserable.
Right.
So now it's like my 100% focus is on, okay, how can I change this thought pattern? How can I just dig in and change the self-doubt? And how can I learn something new and be more humble to things that I thought that I was adamant that I believed, and like, well, maybe I can get a deeper, bigger perspective. So most of my time now is like, how do I change my perspective? How do I get out of this negative mind swoop and then like marry it with some productivity?
Right. And, you know, it's easy to talk about. It took me a long time to find that peace within. And I'm glad to see, and I'm glad to talk to two people that seems to be on that journey too. Again, it's important. I think you guys serve an important part of other people's lives too, because you think of others. You know, and you're not just thinking about yourself and riches and going out here and just, you know, self-gratification, which is a rarity, you know, nowadays from what I can see, you know, from what I can ascertain that's going on. And again, I am so proud of the both of you. I am proud of you guys, and please keep doing what you're doing, because you guys serve a great purpose in this world, and I really do. And I would like to thank everybody for tuning in to the Roundtable, and we'll see you again. So take care. And we'll always remember, man makes plans, God smiles.
Yes.
Later.